Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the top 5 most important cars we have ever road tested. Here's why. Over the last 11.5 decades, Autocar magazine has conducted no fewer than 5,000 road tests. But of all the many cars we've tested, which are the ones that have stood out? Which are the ones that have made a real difference? So the first of our top 5 all-time favourite road test cars is, of course, the original 1959 Mini. I'm going to quote from the road test that Autocar published in August 1959, the last line of which said, "It is far from being an underpowered machine and has a very lively performance. It is certain to interest the sporting motorist because of its fine handling qualities." Well, let's see. 37 horsepower. And you know what? It just doesn't matter how little performance the Mini now has, because even today it has appeal from behind the wheel. How can you not love this car? Okay, on the one hand it is a lovely little thing, but on the other hand it is such a significant car. This thing set the template pretty much for every single front-wheel drive car that everyone drives around in nowadays. And that is the vast majority of cars that you see on our roads. But if the Mini blew everyone's minds in 1959, can you imagine what the E-Type must have felt like 2 years later? No, not can I. I think it's time to find out. So just 2 years after the Mini came the E-Type. What a machine it must have been back then. This thing is just beautiful. As beautiful inside as it is out. And that's saying something, because this has to be one of the most gorgeous looking cars that there has ever been made. 265 horsepower you've got under there, thanks to a 3.8 straight 6. And it feels it as well. When you put your foot down, it goes. Sounds good too. Everything it does just feels so special. Okay, it doesn't go around corners particularly well. The gear change is pretty heavy. But it doesn't matter. I don't care. Look at it. Look at this thing. Listen to it. It's absolutely fantastic. Quite amazing when you go from the E-Type from 1961 to this Mark I Golf GTI from 1981. I know they are from a different era, but my goodness me, they really do feel it too. I mean, to all intents and purposes, this car feels like a normal, small hatchback of today. Okay, this Golf GTI can't get anywhere near a modern Clio RS, but it kind of feels as if it's from the same family in many ways, because the handling is taut, the steering is nice and crisp and precise, the brakes work really well. There is actually quite a decent amount of performance. So a 1981 Golf, even in 2011, feels amazingly competitive dynamically. Well, that's why it's been copied by everyone ever since, without question. This is one of the top 5 most significant cars we've ever road tested. And now it's time to have a look at another one that's a little bit quicker than this. We leap forwards in every single dimension possible to 1994 and the McLaren F1. I had just joined the magazine when we road tested the McLaren, and I remember it absolutely blew my mind and the minds of everyone else on the magazine at the time. 627 horsepower and an 1100 kilogram car is always going to give you stunning results, and however fast you think this car might actually be, it is always faster than you think. It sounds pretty good too. Listen to this. Just astonishing. Absolutely incredible how fast, how raw this car feels. Even now, what is it, 16 years after we road tested it, this thing feels just amazing, incredible. I think it's time we had a go in something a little less nuts, like a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. I guess in some ways the 911 GT3 RS feels like a bit of a misfit amongst the rest of these cars, because at the end of the day it is just another Porsche 911. The flip side to it is the fact that it is another Porsche 911, and that is why it's in our top 5. The 911 over the years has evolved and been engineered to a point where it has become this car, and this car is extraordinary in everything it does. The steering, the handling, the ride, the throttle response, the gear change quality, the brakes, especially the brakes, and especially the performance, just are in another league, really, from anything else that's on sale at this money, at this moment in time. We don't often award 5 stars in road tests, but this car got one in 2010. That's why it's here. That's why it's so incredible. And that's why I love it. It's also here because you can do this in it. It's amazing really, but if you look at this collection of cars as a whole, you can almost plot the progress of mankind itself over the last 100 years or so. And it's not just the technical progress that's so impressive, it's the creativity and the variation in design that's, well, so uplifting really. In light of which, I guess we can only hope that the next century's worth of cars is as exciting as the last.